Alright, welcome to the final arc of Shin Megami Tensei IV. Walter decided he wants to side with Lilith, and our party can't fight her in good faith without first investigating a lead she's given us. The facility beneath Tayama's HQ. With that, we're off. It seems the Ring of Gaia spent all their budget renovating the Passage of Ethics, because this basement area is dank and dirty, and only lit by candles at that. Slowly, the party makes their way back to the surface of the Ginza area. When we reach the fountain, we get a glimpse of Walter having a chat with Hikaru, that girl we met in front of Shinjuku a while back. Jonathan calls out to him, but he runs off. Hikaru sees us and almost sing-songingly asks what went down between us. Isabeau, exasperated, just tells her to spill the beans about what she and Walter were just talking about. Hikaru tells us that he was asking about how to get under Roppongi, so she directed him to a guy called Fujiwara in Shinjuku. She also gives us a matchbox to use as a token for getting into Fujiwara's cafe, Cafe Florida. When we get there, we see Walter arguing with a man guarding the entrance. We stroll up to the two and show the guard the matchbook Hikaru gave us to be let in, telling the guard Walter is with us. And who's the first person we see inside? Hikaru. How did she get here so fast? She introduces us to Fujiwara and a heavily bandaged guy called Skins. Fujiwara already knows more about our exploits than the typical Tokyo underground resident, having heard about our travels through Naraku, Medusa's defeat, and that we're from the Eastern Kingdom of Mikado. Fujiwara agrees to tell us how to get below Roppongi, but not before asking if we think the higher-ups of Mikado would ever allow them to immigrate there. Walter is taken off guard, but isn't dismissive of the proposition. Jonathan is more standoffish about the whole thing. When it's our turn to answer, we echo Walter's sentiments, saying it's not out of the question. That's good enough for Fujiwara, who just wants us to put in a good word for them. Then he tells us the Midtown Center in Tokyo is our ticket into Tayama's underground facility. When we arrive at the Midtown Center, we interrupt the demon, Tenkai, who's in the middle of a meditation session. He considers himself a guardian of the people, saying it's his role to distance the people of the country from the cruel truth. Sensing we are not in agreement, Tenkai makes it clear that the only way we'll be proceeding is over his dead body, and the fight begins. As we exchange blows, Tenkai does his best to suss out whether we're the sort of people whose actions are in line with their ideals. He seems convinced when we say we want a Tokyo of both order and freedom, and we receive a buff to our aim. We keep fighting, and as Tenkai gets weakened, he warns us that the truth we'll discover in the facility is much crueler than we can imagine. Tenkai doesn't let up easily, but he seems to be enjoying a fight against a worthy adversary.
Just a little more. Perhaps you could do it. Defeat me.
When he finally goes down, he says he's been waiting for this and that he hopes to serve a master like us next time. Jonathan is baffled by his words, but Walter understands, saying, just as humans can't choose the family they're born into, demons can't choose their masters either. With Tenkai gone, we're free to explore Midtown Center. It's a traditional multi-floor dungeon, but there are some rooms with demons to talk to as well. We learn that the area below is called the Farm, and in order to get there, we'll need to get the barrier lifted by the person in charge. That's someone called Mastema, and he can be found on the top floor, so we head in that direction. When we finally get there, we see a set of double doors. Burroughs warns us about a strong demon ahead, and we prepare for a fight. When we enter the room, An angelic demon with a squarish mask and black wings says he'll slaughter us unclean ones before dropping the ruse and saying he's a friend. He introduces himself as Mastema, a messenger of the powers that be from the Kingdom of Light. Jonathan is relieved at the sight of an angel stationed in Tokyo and asks if he can come with us, but Mastema declines, saying he needs to guard this place from the Ring of Gaia and anyone who would steal the red pills. Isabeau asks for clarification, and Mastema says that if they're lost, all hope of order in Tokyo would be lost. Walter asks what he'd do if the Ring of Gaia had come. Mastema seems unfazed, saying if anyone were to raise havoc, Tayama would know. Walter thinks Mastema a shady character. He seems to be an angel from Mikado, but he's helping the Ashura Kai maintain order in Tokyo. Mastema ignores the comment, removes the barrier for us, and tells us not to let Tayama know what he's done, insisting he's carrying out the Lord's will in his own way. That's good enough for us. We head to the basement of the building, which is a former army shelter. We make our way through the maze-like layout, enter a door, and get an awe-inspiring view of Tayama's facility, an inverted replica of the Hills building descending below. It must have taken a lot of work to build this thing. Let's see what it's like inside. We enter the building and are greeted by a series of cold, sterile hallways, some of which are blocked off and can only be accessed from the other side. As we get to exploring, the party briefly mentions the smell of something sweet in the air and feeling lighthearted, despite the sense of foreboding the place is giving them. We proceed through the halls, checking the various rooms for any signs of life. We certainly do find life, or some form of it. Most rooms have gas-masked men in them administering experiments on people, against their will more than likely. Most of these gas-masked men don't recognize us as intruders, and so we obtain the keycards necessary for taking the elevators downward from them. On the next floor below, more eerie, empty hallways await us, but the first room we go in has a little boy in it that refuses to take a nap until we turn on a movie. We choose to quickly take our leave instead. The other rooms are just as alarming. One has a little girl that wants to marry Tayama. Hey, where the heck are your parents? Or at least a gas-masked man to supervise you. Speak of the devil, in another room we walk in on a gas-masked man coaching two children through some rehearsed dialogue about studying hard, making Tokyo great, and being content with all the books and movies available. At least the gas-masked man seems to be doing something positive. And hey, he gives us key number 3. Thanks, buddy. I think we've been getting the wrong impression of this place. Just look at this little boy, proudly proclaiming he did his business. The demons here are all suitably creepy as well. Tlateloltli here probably fits the scientific experiment vibe the best though, with various tubes coming in and out of her body. On the next floor, we find abandoned patients in various states of catatonia. They're no longer needed and have been forgotten. There's also a gas-masked man about to insert a syringe into a man's head. He complains that we're not supposed to talk to him while he's harvesting. It's a delicate operation. If the syringe accidentally pierces the brain, the seedbed they spent all that time raising will be ruined. Then he fights us, thinking we're from the Ring of Gaia.
You assholes! You always have to muck things up for us!
After the fight, the gas-masked man begs for his life, handing us a brown-colored bottle before collapsing. We search his person and also receive the keycard for the next floor. Jonathan inquires about what the masked man was doing to the man strapped to the chair, and as if on cue, the man starts to repeat,
I'm going to study hard. I'm going to study hard. I'm going to study hard.
Isabeau thinks he sounds naive for a grown man, but it's pretty apparent that some kind of lobotomy has taken place. We go to the 51st floor basement, which looks like a shopping district. After descending an escalator, we enter a new room, a treatment facility of some kind. Another humorously unaware gas-masked man awaits, and he spills the beans on the big reveal, thinking we missed the info at an orientation or something. The Ashura Kai abduct people from the city, raise them here in the facility, and harvest their brains. Specifically, their neurotransmitters. This place is called a human farm. The abductees, the seedbeds, who need their feces cleaned up on a routine basis, by the way. Isabeau was outraged and can't believe the masked man can be so blasé about the whole thing. He just reacts with irritation.
This is why I hate newcomers.
Jonathan acknowledges this is what Lilith wanted us to see. When we emerge from the room, we see that a pink mist has filled the air. Isabeau mentions the sweet scent from before is even stronger now. Then a giant head with half of its mass rotted away, along with spindly arms and legs appears. The party tries to react rationally to it, but it's already dispersed too much laughing gas, and everyone in the party starts acting goofy.
I'm scared of fish! I must go tell everyone! I am a cat. Meow.
Demons here, demons there, demons, demons, demons! It's also demoning!
The demon just keeps repeating its name,
Yasumagachi!
like it's a Pokemon or something, and soon we lose consciousness. We wake up in Tayama's lounge. Jonathan mentions something about us doffing our pants and doing a thing with our nose. Doffing. What's that mean? Well, I looked it up, and it turns out it means to take off or to remove. Ha, Flynn, you nut. Minor teaching moment too. Doff and don were originally a word pair, with doff meaning to do off and don meaning to do on. Don is still used when saying one is wearing something, but doff fell out of use sometime in the 19th century. Tayama's voice jolts us back to attention. He takes his keycards back and asks what the heck we were doing down there, reminding us that Yuriko still isn't dead. Walter tells Tayama that Yuriko has exposed his evil actions and that we've seen it all ourselves. Tayama, perhaps feeling on the defensive, says we don't know what it was like when the firmament was put in place, and that most of the damage was done by humans fighting over food and electricity.
When people get backed into a corner, they don't think twice about their fellow man when their own lives are on the line.
Humans are weak, and that's why he built his utopia. Since humans have to live with demons, they can't go anywhere else. There's no choice but to feed them red pills in exchange for not being eaten. He continues on, saying,
If everyone had humanity's best interests in mind like I do, maybe we wouldn't need the red pills. Sadly, there are people in this world who can't do that. So, we need to get those people to make their contributions to Tokyo some way, right?
So that's his reasoning for all the kidnapping required for the brain harvesting. Walter calls him out on this, but Tayama says he sets up all the subjects with a better life than they could ever possibly have underground, and the Ashura Kai hold their sacrifices with the highest regard. Walter isn't convinced of Tayama's benevolence. Why should the majority live on the backs of a minority that have to sacrifice themselves? Tayama runs out of patience at Walter's moral indignation, telling him,
If you don't got the guts to get your hands dirty, you don't get to say shit about it.
But then he walks it back a little, saying he'll let us go this time, but not to forget to kill Yuriko, because no one's looking out for the human world except humans. As further incentive, the henchman puts a little hurt on our samurai hostage friend.
Hold on! My neck! Stop it!
Well, that's that then. When we get outside the Hills building, Jonathan asks Walter if he's satisfied. He says he can empathize with him, and that he loathes Tayama as well, but reasserts that we need to kill Lilith. Walter isn't convinced, asking if killing her is really for the best, which sets Jonathan off. He starts to ask him if he's gone crazy or something, but then Abbot Hugo buzzes in.
It is I, Abbot Hugo.
He tells us our new top priority is to get back to Mikado ASAP, more specifically to a place called Shene Duque. Isabeau, curious what could suddenly merit so much attention, voices her curiosity, but resolves that we should just do our duty. When we get there, we see a giant cocoon in the distance. Sister Gabby greets us, and then we follow her into it. Inside, it looks like a giant beehive, glowing with a golden color from the light shining in from above. Sister Gabby says it's time for us to meet our leaders, which is a cue for the 3 mysterious beings we rescued in Kagome Tower to descend from above. They're now in their true forms, the Archangels Michael, Uriel, and Raphael. We definitely get the impression that they're powerful and angelic, but more than that, they're creepy. Creepy, big-headed angels. These designs diverge from other games in the series in a big way. Michael typically appears as a red angel with a gold chest plate and a spear, but in SMT IV he has the body of a clawed serpent, with humanoid hands protruding out of one side that holds his head, which has a sharp, gnarled tongue sticking out. He also has 2 spiraling locks of hair that are holding daggers. Similarly, in other SMT games, Uriel has the appearance of a knight in red armor with wings, but this time he looks like a cross between a tree and a robot of some kind, again echoing the design of having gnarled appendages with clawed detailing. He also has several glowing spheres, 2 of which serve as eyes for the head, which is situated in his center of mass. He's sporting a beard with a fragment of a chain at the tip of it, while holding his weapon, a hilt with a giant spike protruding from either end, in his mouth. Raphael? Typically a purple angel with blue armor holding a sword. In SMT IV, orange skeletal creature with a samurai helmet. A single glowing blue orb is coming out of the helmet, but the real face of the Archangel is, again, in the center of mass, with angel wings coming out of it. And finally, Sister Gabby reveals herself to be the Archangel Gabriel. In other entries of the series, she typically appears as a green angel with gold armor holding a sword, and sometimes a flower. But now she's a sinewy knight made of gold, with a right arm that's a scimitar and a left arm that holds her giant head. I'm not sure how any of this is anatomically functional, but it's a cool aesthetic. Then Gabriel gives us her backstory, saying she's watched over the humans of this land, but they eventually became warped, using the Lord's name to manipulate the people. She declares that they've once again cleansed the land of unworthy humans, and that those remaining should follow the true way with them. Jonathan wonders out loud what that could be. Walter just mentions the similarity to Lilith's ideology. Isabeau starts to ask about Fujiwara and the citizens of Tokyo, but Gabriel interrupts her, saying she already knows, and to ignore them, warning her not to succumb to the temptation of the filth. Tokyo citizens were not chosen by their lord, and so they cannot live in Mikado. She finishes by saying they will once again eliminate the Tokyo citizens if they attempt to enter the kingdom, and then reminds the group that we must kill the Black Samurai for the sake of rebuilding said kingdom. After the Archangels dismiss us, the group has a chat outside of the cocoon. Jonathan feels that everything is decided now, and we need to finish what we started by killing the Black Samurai. Walter says he won't hurt Lilith. The Archangel's plan is no better than Tayama's utopia, since they'd both be ruled by selfish dictators. Jonathan is incredulous that Walter would side with her, seeing it as an insult to everyone that became demons through her actions. Walter won't be swayed though. He goes off to the barracks to pack his things before going to Lilith's. If anyone wishes to join him, they're free to follow. Jonathan is ready to head to Lilith's lair immediately, but Isabeau interrupts, saying she's worried about Fujiwara and Skins trying to enter Mikado, even without confirmation from us. She doesn't know what to say to convince them not to try it, and she needs time to think everything over. Then she walks away. Jonathan seems baffled.
What profit is it to plunge the world into chaos?
He doesn't think Mikado or Tokyo should change, and by slaying Lilith, the world will be restored to its former order. He'll be waiting at the entrance to Naraku. We decide to meet Jonathan. He seems glad we've sided with him, saying that Lilith has no leadership experience and that she seemed pretty jubilant when introducing us to our current quandary.
Do not be so swayed by the concept of reform that you are blind to reality.
Isabeau then appears, saying she can't go with us. She still needs time to think things over, but she says she'll pray for our safety. Somewhat surprisingly, Jonathan becomes tearful over her departure. Isabeau's been with us since this whole adventure started. Of course it's a sad moment. but onward we go anyway to face Lilith. On our way there, we pass through Ginza, chatting with some Ring of Gaia members. One person isn't fazed at all when we tell them that Yuriko is actually a demon called Lilith, saying that it doesn't matter who she is, because she's proven that she's a force to be reckoned with. Another person seems pretty hyped that Walter was recruited into the ring, referring to him as the prophesized Child of Carnage. Then he scoffs at us, saying Lilith will utterly destroy us. We continue through Ginza, and when we arrive at the temple of Tsukiji Hongwanji, one of Tayama's goons, injured, tells us to use a manhole to reach Lilith's lair. When we do so, we find ourselves in the same underground passage from before. There's a door with a key already in it, so we go through and make our way back to Lilith's lair, but she's nowhere to be found. Instead, a Ring of Gaia member admonishes us, saying we're fighting the wrong people. Then he turns into the rebellious elephant Giramekala. We get through the fight by debuffing him and relying on a few Tetrakarns to bounce his powerful attacks back at him, and when we've won, he's incredulous at why we would side with authority having so much power and all. The room gives way to a full-on domain, and with a fresh cast of a Stoma sword, we begin to make our way through, cutting down most demons to avoid battle. Pretty quickly, we see what could be a boss door, but a Ring of Gaia woman stops us, telling us to stop hounding Lady Yuriko, who could provide all the knowledge our rulers have kept from us. She turns into Dakini, and we defeat her similarly to how we handled Giramekala. We enter the door she was guarding, and yup, it's Lilith.
You really couldn't accept my ideals?
Jonathan is as ready as ever to slay her. She says she'll show us the power that we deny, the power of demons, and then the battle begins. We use some gun attacks and debuff her, and soon she's already having a chat with us.
Now, let me see that hatred in your face. Let it heat your blows.
We oblige, smiling at her.
What a filthy smile. It reeks of God's hypocrisy.
Yeah, we're gonna miss her. She also points out the disparity between thinking we're pure servants of God, but really we're addicted to the feeling of power like anyone else. When she's weakened, she does her best in a last-ditch effort to sway us to her side. Jonathan isn't moved at all and reminds her that her knowledge destroyed the paradise that was Mikado. We continue striking her with gun attacks, and soon enough, we finally defeated Lilith. She manages to get the last laugh, though.
It's all over.
Indeed it is.
No. I am referring to you. For the gate to the Expanse is being opened as we speak, by a youth armed with knowledge and wisdom.
After the battle, Jonathan surmises that the Expanse Lilith referred to must have something to do with the power reactor she was trying to take control of. Since we don't really know where exactly that is, we head back to the Hills building, where our samurai friend is elated to be rescued.
You came!
He says Tayama and his men left for Ichigaya. Maybe that's where the power reactor is. The samurai also gives us our card keys from the Reverse Hills building back, but yeah, we're not going back there. We travel northwest from the Hills building where we come upon a tunnel to get to the Ichigaya region. There's a guard there whose demons were absolutely decimated by Walter. Seems he's really determined now. Once in the Ichigaya region, we continue north and go inside the JGSDF camp building. Side note, JGSDF stands for Japan Ground Self-Defense Force and is the term used for the Japanese army. Not really relevant to solving the mystery behind the power reactor, but definitely good to know. This is another dungeon we need to explore. We start by heading down a few floors, noting that some of the doors lock behind us and we can't go back through them. We see one of Tayama's men busted up pretty badly, apparently by Walter. Our friend also seems to have helped his Ring of Gaia comrades defeat two powerful demons, Omoikane and Michizane. On the third basement floor, there's a giant vault door. We enter and see a demon out of breath, glowing from battle damage and near death. Tayama is laid out on the floor in front of him, dead. The demon scoffs at his arrogance before turning to stone himself. Then Walter emerges. We're just in time. He was just about to press a button on a remote to open the gate to the Expanse. In doing so, he hopes to summon demons into this world so that humanity will lose all control, with only the strongest surviving and shaping it.
In this kingdom, there will be no one who suffers as Issachar did.
Walter pushes the button and the gate activates. We see a glimpse of some red-eyed demons, but they give way to a vortex that sucks us into a sea of whiteness. We awaken in an area surrounded by pure white, and then a white apparition called the White Shadow, resembling K, begins speaking to us.
Upon receiving knowledge and wisdom, the atom that learned desire has opened the gate once more.
Then another white shadow that looks like Issachar appears.
Have you ever given thought to why humans are born? Why the world exists?
Not really? White Shadow Isabeau hints that they can guide us to a decision that would end humanity's chain of suffering.
We shall show you the guideposts for that decision.
We wake up and Jonathan and Walter are hovering over us. Burroughs says we're in the counter-demon forest base, but none of us knows why or how. We go outside to get our bearings and are shocked to see that most of Tokyo has been obliterated, with only a few shelters remaining. The bedrock above is also nowhere to be seen. Walter wants to know what happened to Tokyo, but Jonathan's more concerned about what's happened to Mikado. The two join us as we endeavor to find answers. We do some exploring, noting the proliferation of craters amidst the rock and sand. There's a giant spiky dome to the south, but the entrance is guarded by these mechanical spider things, so we head north instead. We find a shelter nestled in some rubble, and inside, a bunch of armed men are waiting for us. They question how the heck we've been able to survive out there, and then one of them surmises that we must be Pluto's henchmen, so they point their weapons at us. Walter defers to us for deciding what comes next. We can kill them before they kill us, or wait and see. Yeah, let's try to wait it out. Jonathan agrees, and more importantly, points out that these guys are our only source of information. Then, right on cue, the armed men notice the gauntlets on our arms. This excites their leader, Kiyoharu, who proposes a deal. If we show him our demon summoning program, he'll let us go. After a short inspection, he seems elated, exclaiming,
"Finally our prayers have been answered!"
As an elderly man covered in cross symbols with an excited grin plastered on his face, he seems to be very, to put it mildly, eccentric. Then the tension drops significantly. Kiyoharu calls us his dear guests and calls off his guards. He mentions wanting to break this news to someone named Akira and then scurries away. We make our way around the shelter, which we all learn is actually Shinjuku, chatting with all the people living here and learning that the air outside is actually poisonous. That would explain why everyone is wearing goggles and covered from head to toe, with no skin exposed. We also learn that the counter-demon force was wiped out 25 years ago. People call what happened God's Wrath, and it was a global event, not something localized to just Tokyo. After that happened, the angel's cocoon vanished into the sky. People refer to Kiyoharu as their leader, but not with the greatest confidence, mentioning we might want to speak with his partner, Akira, to get his take on things. When we visit Kiyoharu and Akira, Kiyoharu refers to us as messiahs, and is excited about the prospect of eliminating Pluto, who we find out is the culprit for poisoning the air. All it takes is one exposure to the poison and your days are numbered, and both Kiyoharu and Akira have already been poisoned, which doesn't bode well for the survivors down here. Akira says he knew we would come, because he had a dream where the White told him so. Then he woke up with the Yamato Reactor remote in his hand. Jonathan poses the apt question of whether we're supposed to use the reactor again, but Akira doesn't know. All he wants is for us to defeat Pluto so that the air won't be poisoned anymore. And if we do it, we can have the remote. It seems like the right thing to do for everyone's sake, so we accept the request. Then we're told that Pluto can be found in the castle to the southeast, the place with the mechanical spiders. We start to head out in that direction, but are stopped by some former citizens of Shibuya that ask us to slay the demons in that city in order to avenge the deaths of their loved ones.
I should think the more positive approach would be to forget the dead, rather than wallow in sadness. We cannot help the dead, but we can help those they have left behind.
It only seems right to help them out, so we do that. The Shibuya shelter is a depressing, abandoned place, but there's a bunch of ghosts to talk to.
If I'd known I'd end up like this, I'd have lived life only for myself.
What? You want me to rest in peace? You want me to disappear? Come on, give me a break. This is my place. I'm not going anywhere, even if it needs my soul.
I, too, was infected by Pluto's poison. I feared that death might arrive at any time. But now I'm free from that fear, because I'm already dead.
I know I'm dead, but I'm still tied to this place. Some paradise this is.
In the basement, we meet Ixtab, who historically is the Yucatan Mayan goddess of unaliving.
The most unfortunate thing about humans is the fact of their birth.
We face her in battle, and when she's defeated, she becomes upset that we've rejected her salvation in favor of the wasteland of pain and suffering that is living.
To preach that death is salvation, preying upon people's weakness. Vile behavior, even for a demon.
A rather unwelcome favor, isn't it? It's up to each man to decide for himself what paradise entails.
But hey, now we can breathe a sigh of relief for the souls of the dead. For most of them, at least.
The salvation from the goddess Ixtab is faded. What will become of us now?
Those guys in Shinjuku might thank you for killing Ixtab, but for the Shibuya residents, all you did was wreck our paradise.
You know, all the other guys around here are disappearing now. Is this what is meant by rest in peace? Are they in heaven? This is happening because you killed Ixtab, isn't it? How dare you?
With that out of the way, we head to Pluto's lair, using a database program that Akira gave us to learn that the little mechanical spiders guarding the entryway are copies of him. We quickly defeat them and begin exploring the dungeon, which resembles a hive with its glowing amber and hexagonal patterns. Some parts look pretty snake-like as well, thanks to the use of darker hues, like these tunnels that connect all the main rooms. This dungeon has multiple floors requiring traversal using elevator platforms to go up, and just jumping down to go down. Along the way, we face increasingly larger copies of Pluto. They're a little tougher than normal enemies, but nothing too major, especially since they can be taken out with Hama spells. We also recruit Persephone, the goddess of spring, and queen of the underworld, represented here as half a person holding an apple, and the other half holding food from the underworld.
I've been so stressed out lately. Let me slap you.
Sure, slap away.
Oh good. I only need one slap.
It's cool how SMT makes you learn various cultures' mythologies. Finally, we face Pluto the Tormentor on the basement floor, who's actually a giant skull biting into the ground with some kind of horns that look like antennae. He seems like an intimidating presence until he starts to talk.
I am a tool of the Lord. Destroying me is blasphemy.
Very reminiscent of the Dalek from Doctor Who, if you're familiar. If you're not, very robotic, not demonic at all. This seems to confirm word that Pluto was a machine left behind by God to exterminate the Tokyo survivors. Upon nearing defeat, Pluto requests repairs, but
we are not very knowledgeable about mechanics after all.
It's too bad. His
I am a tool of the Lord
would have been a great auto-tune meme. We make our way back to Akira to let him know the source of the poison has been vanquished. And everyone already knows, since Kiyoharu could sense it. He's absolutely ecstatic. Akira then gives us the remote to the Expanse, saying that he's not afraid if demons show up in Tokyo, and that knowing that they're just embodiments of human desires, he'll take control of them and put them to good use to rebuild the city. He also mentions that he'll rename Tokyo to the Eastern Kingdom of Mikado in honor of the group. A nice hint at the creation of a self-fulfilling time loop. Sort of. This is a parallel dimension, not a time loop. But it's still cool that Jonathan recognizes how King Akira's new kingdom resembles their own reality. We take the remote back to the Yamato Reactor in Camp Ichigaya, and the white appear before us in a dream again, saying that we just experienced one possible outcome for Tokyo, the one where we choose to preserve it, but there are others. And with that, we wake up in the Counter Demon Force base again, where a fedora-wearing demon asks what the heck we're doing here. Then, seeing the gauntlets on our arms, he runs off, yelling for Akira to come see this. We explore the area to discover we're in a different future with the demons destroyed Tokyo, ruling over it and keeping those who wouldn't fuse with them as pets called nourishers. Yep, the remaining humans are just kept around as a living food source, collared and wired up to deliver a slow drip of gray matter to their demon masters. Go humans? We meet Akira in a nearby room, and he looks radically different, being a demon in this reality and all. I kind of prefer his aesthetic here, with the spiked hair and red and white face paint. Akira is excited to finally meet us, having heard about our arrival from the White. He needs us to help him defeat Kenji, the King of Tokyo. If we cooperate, he'll give us the remote so we can presumably go back to our own reality. We agree to Akira's deal, and he tells us our first order of business is expanding his gang's power in Tokyo by taking over Shinjuku. We go outside and we witness the fiery mess that is Infernal Tokyo, where the danger and instability of gang warfare are the norm. Walter is taken aback by the sight of it, but acknowledges the simplicity of it all. Akira isn't as well respected as we may have initially been led to believe. We see a hint of this in some exchanges with his guards.
Hurry up and become the king so we can all live on Easy Street.
And we can definitely see it in how other factions refer to him.
Oh, it's you, Akira. Where are you, Ikebukuro? Is today trash day? We just stepped on a dead demon over there. Can you leave my foot clean like usual?
This pattern continues when we arrive in Shinjuku.
Yo, Akira! Funny seeing you here. You brought some friends to go shopping? Yet scavenging trash is more profitable than I thought. You know the routine. Oh, and today? Pass it to me in your teeth.
When Akira is forced to take a stand, he does so from behind our group.
Hey, you! Who do you think you're talking to?
Then we take out the guard and witness some of his delayed bravado.
You shouldn't have stood up against the future king. Learn your place.
From here, we make our way to the Shinjuku subway. We chat with some nourishers here, who reaffirm that Kenji has the most power in Tokyo, having control of Shibuya and Ikebukuro. A guy in the bar says the real fighting is over who gets to be number 2. Akira's crew is talked about in condescending tones. We also get just a touch of Akira's backstory. It seems he chooses to scavenge here in Shinjuku because it allows him to visit her grave. We don't know who she is yet. We venture past the shutter here, which Burroughs informs us is actually a demon domain. We jam through the domain and meet the boss, Mahama Yuri. Akira does his false bravado act again.
Hear me and tremble! I've come to take over Shinjuku!
And then pushes us in to do his dirty work.
Whoa, don't be so hasty! You'll be fighting these 3, not me!
Mahama Yuri debuffs us with Debilitate, but he's not hard to deal with because we exploit his weakness to lightning spells. Akira proclaims he's the new boss around here and then has a heart-to-heart with us.
You guys really are the messiahs. So, you want to go back to your own world, huh? You don't have to tell me. I know I don't have any power. Once you're gone, I'll be killed off in no time.
In this rare moment of vulnerability, Akira expresses his doubts for the future, but resolves that after this business with Kenji is done, it's all up to him. Before we go to the reactor to face Kenji, let's quickly check out how things are here in Shinjuku, now that Akira's gang has taken over. We find out that they either killed or just kicked out all the other demons. No negotiations. The nourishers get to stay though. It makes sense, since they're food. But one of them mentions being grateful to take a shower every day, and that Akira is weird and that he actually treats the nourishers like real human beings. And they don't have to be as malnourished anymore. Since there's more nourishers to go around, they can take turns feeding the demonoids. Also, continuing the thread from earlier, we learn that, in this reality, Akira's sister was kidnapped by the angels, but since Kenji killed them, she didn't survive while in the cocoon. We confirm all of this by going to Shinjuku National Park and talking to the demonoid standing in front of the cocoon. He says he thought he would forget what happened after he became a demonoid, but his enhanced sense of smell just makes him remember the scent of his rotting daughter, who was one of the ones kidnapped. It would be reasonable to assume that this is Akira's entire reason for wanting to become the King of Tokyo in the first place. Now it's time to face Kenji and Ichigaya. When we get there, Akira is waiting for us. Jonathan asks him what he plans to do once he becomes King of Tokyo.
Promise you won't laugh? Rules have never been my thing. Frankly, I want to make Tokyo a place where we can all be equal.
The idea of the strong and the weak being treated alike doesn't sit well with Walter, but we're supportive of Akira's aspirations, which seems to bolster his spirits.
Then you'll need to be stronger, King Akira.
We begin exploring the Infernal Ichigaya base, briefly passing through the labs where people were turned into nourishers and demons. It seems some of the demon staff are prone to fudging surgeries.
It's a sad accident, but that's the risk you take with fusion.
When we reach the vault, we walk in and meet Kenji. He's a giant blue head, complete with red lightning surrounding him. He says he's tired of killing, and urges us to forget about the remote, but it's no good. It's as Jonathan says, we need that remote to get back to our world. The battle is on, and we exploit Kenji's weakness to Agi spells. He appears to lose steam for a second, before rousing himself with his own version of fake bravado.
Let me fight! More! Power is everything! Fighting is my life!
Kenji was given premonitions of his defeat by the White decades ago. Being met with the reality of that prophecy, he's still in denial of it. When we finally deal the finishing blow, he laughs to himself and curses the White with his final breath. We press the button on the remote, grateful to finally be going home.
Your atom has brushed against 2 possible worlds.
These guys again? White Isakar points out our dilemma. If we preserve the world, there's a high probability God will just destroy it. That's blasted Tokyo. And if we don't preserve it, it will eventually destroy itself, the Infernal Tokyo. Both paths aren't a solution in the long run, but they suggest an alternative, a way to escape God's grasp. Choose to destroy everything to begin with. This is the way to become the true Messiah, to save every being in every world, they say. They ask us if we'll comply with their plan to return the world to nothing, and... The White are angered by our messianic tendencies. Curious, they ask what our intentions are in preserving the world. Not liking how things have played out with the Eastern Kingdom of Mikado, we want to destroy the order of things. But it's too late to walk that path, the White say. We committed too deeply to preserving the status quo. Crap. What do we do now? The White berate us, furious for opposing them. In frustration, they abandon us here in the Expanse, a monochrome version of Kichigeorgi Forest.
May you regret your choice here in this fabricated space until you die.
Damn. Jonathan finds us, saying he chose to preserve the status quo as well. Then a familiar voice congratulates us on repelling the voices of the White. It's Gabriel. She urges us to slay the White in order to escape. Feeling somewhat bolstered by finding familiar faces, we explore this area, which has a bunch of warping exits. Eventually, we come upon these purple portals that lead to each of the White, and begin slaying them all. White Isakar tries especially hard to dissuade us from our cause.
What would your fellow samurai think? The one called Walter. Does it not give you pause to think what he might say, were he to learn of your choice?
Jonathan steps in and says what we're thinking.
A pretty speech, but it sounds to my ears like so much unjustified resentment and self-righteousness. We who fight for the people shall never join in your cause!
Finally, we defeat the last of the White.
Why wouldn't you save me even unto the very end?
It's kind of a troubling thought that they took the form of people we knew. We just have to remember that they're a concept, not the actual people, right? Gabriel congratulates us on dissipating the Expanse and uses her power to return us to our world. We wake up in the cocoon with the 4 angels surrounding us. They inform us that this is the new castle of Mikado, and they managed to purify all the filth in the kingdom, meaning they've killed all the demons above ground. Tokyo is too far gone though. They've sealed off Naraku and want to use the Yamato Reactor to trigger something called the Great Abaddon, a black hole that will swallow Tokyo and all the demons and humans in it. There's a problem though. They've heard word that Lucifer has resurrected in Tokyo. We'll need to take him out before being able to get near the reactor. To bolster our forces, the angels suggest fusing with the Son of Man to create God's chariot, but it means death for whichever human does it. Who's it gonna be? Jonathan or us? We exit the cocoon and have a chat with our friend. This means the end for one of us. It's a heavy moment.
I simply feel so defeated. That day we went to the rooftop of Mikado Castle. I vowed then that I would fulfill my role as a samurai for the sake of the people. Yet now that the specter of death has been raised before me,
When we go back inside, regardless of whether we choose to sacrifice ourselves or not, Jonathan will insist on doing it himself.
If only people would think and act for the sake of their fellow man. Just imagine it. That is why. I will sacrifice everything to drive out everyone's fear and doubt.
Jonathan says it's been an honor. Gabriel calls him over. They all fuse together. And wham, the Lord's chariot, Merkaba, floats in front of us. They say that filth and doubts must be cleansed, and then we can head off to the Yamato Reactor whenever we're ready. Yup, this is happening. Before we go though, we chat with Hugo at the monastery. Everything seems hunky-dory now that the demons and Mikado have been wiped out. The Mystic Relics investigation is officially legitimized, and everyone at the monastery is working hard to process all the information they've gathered. Hope acknowledges us as the Warrior of Light. No, really, thank you, you're too kind. Then he goes on to say that the patrols looking for demons will be called off, with Mikado having finally attained a true peace. The other samurai seem relieved that the new leaders have driven demons from the land. It means safety and the release of the guilt that comes from keeping the existence of demons a secret from the general public. One guy even says his blade was used more for naysayers than actual demons. Another person mentions how they destroyed Aquala's statue and scraped the writings from the obelisk in order to obscure the kingdom's origins. Why? The people were becoming demons because they had too much knowledge and wisdom, which gave them too many choices. Now, things are on the right path. Back in town, we learn that, surprisingly, some of the luxuriers took issue with the new leader's orders, so then this guy ordered the samurai to execute them. He's so thrilled to have done his part in creating the new Millennium. The good news though? No more casualties and luxuriers in the new kingdom. Now there's a simple loyalty test. Everyone has to trample an image of the Black Samurai. The former casualties feel a renewed interest in work and have thrown away their books, and the food the farmers make is now their own to keep. Then we see the baker, who just stares at us, book in hand. When we head to the base in Ichigaya, Isabeau stops us in front of the building. It's been a while since we last saw her, and she isn't too happy with us. Walter tipped her off that we're going to annihilate Tokyo, and she heavily disagrees with our decision.
It is tantamount to genocide.
Merkaba pipes in and says Tokyo's manga hath corrupted her mind. Isabeau may have been indecisive in choosing a side before, but now she's taking a stand against us. She doesn't want to be treated with kid gloves either, so it's her demons versus our demons in a face-off to the death.
I will not be bested by a samurai lacking in resolve.
When we've come close to defeating Isabeau, rather than burden us with the act of murder, she does a thing.
I will not let your hands be stained. At least my last choice will be my own.
After the battle, Merkaba says we must never forget her. If we don't annihilate Tokyo, there'll be others like her.
Now let us go, chosen warrior of light.
From here, we see a barrier blocking the way. Merkaba scoffs at it as a feeble tactic employed by Lucifer and busts it. Then we hop into a portal and find ourselves in Lucifer's palace. As soon as we arrive, Lucifer's minions taunt us, saying we can just wander this Hall of Eternity forever. That's pretty much what the place is. Another teleporting doors dungeon. The key to avoid just wandering around forever? Carefully look at the tooltip that pops up for each door. The red exclamation point marks the correct path. A door on the first floor leads to a boss fight against Belial. a half-man, half-dragon demon that poses an interesting question to us.
What do you think has allowed you humans to progress and evolve so far?
The answer? It was the demons. A human's true power is only brought out by adversity, he says. Merkaba, predictably, isn't having it, and a battle ensues. When we overpower him, he doesn't seem upset at all, saying something about God's paradox and glory to chaos. We find another boss fight on the second floor, this time against a purple-skinned beast with a silver beard that reminds me of those troll dolls from the 90s. He's called Lucifuge, one of Lucifer's generals if the name wasn't enough of a hint, and similarly to Belial, he berates us for praising a false god. When we bonk him, a column of light will appear on the first floor of the Hall of Eternity. We take it and proceed further into the palace, exploring roofs and rooms on the periphery. There's another door around here that marks the game's final terminal, and what an encounter it is. The Terminal Guardian, taking the form of a guy with a New York accent, sicks the infamous phallus chariot, Mara, on us, and he wastes no opportunity to explore the humor of the situation.
Even you won't be able to beat off this magnificent schlong. Get it? Beat off?
After we've defeated him, the Terminal Guardian concedes defeat, and we can finally access the last terminal point to go back to town and make any preparations for the last leg of the dungeon. Finally, we reach an empty walkway with no walls, just columns and a stormy sky. It's the last room before the final confrontation. We walk through the door ahead, and a new voice greets us, saying we're a pitiful son of man who God has led astray.
I am the demon lord Lucifer.
This rendition of the infamous figure has a very alien-like appearance, having an overly tall and shaved forehead and sullen black eye sockets. He also wears a gold coat, perhaps a symbol of his once high stature. The end of his left arm is inflamed and pulsates as if it's going to explode at any moment, a menacing design for sure. He states his purpose of defending the free will of humanity, and the final battle begins. He hits hard with spells like Evil Shine and Hades Blast, but it's not too hard to knock out this, his first form. Next we see the pulsating flesh on his arm turn into a baby demon spider, and with it, Lucifer has lost the jacket, sprouting 2 pairs of wings and some horns. He pretty much uses the same attacks though. The hardest thing is potentially not being able to deal with low health and status effects due to low MP. He also takes out party members in one shot using the Kingly One ability, which sets us back a bit. We press on, using Invitation to quickly bring demons back into the fold, and making generous use of Tetrakarn, since Lucifer loves to crit us using physical skills.
To think that you would match me thus far.
It's a long battle that could probably be made easier by fusing demons that are immune to panic, but having some Mepatra stones on hand was enough to keep the battle from dragging on. Soon enough though, we get the better of Lucifer.
Once again, I fall to the earth.
In a heart-wrenching moment, from somewhere within the demon, we hear Walter speak.
If you've beaten me, then that means you are the stronger man. Perhaps that itself means that you were in the right.
With our work done, we head back to the gate to the Expanse, where Merkaba makes it known that we're meant to sacrifice ourselves as well. He pushes the button on the remote, and a black hole emanating from the Expanse swallows all of Tokyo. In the years after our sacrifice, a narrator tells us that Mikado went on to become a holy land, where people lived in relative peace.
The voices of the people cultivating the land, raising children, and finding joy in their families. They will echo through the eastern kingdom of Mikado today and into tomorrow.
And that's it. That was the law route of Shin Megami Tensei IV. Kinda bittersweet, huh? My thoughts on it, it was tough to keep playing once I knew I was locked into this route. I knew it when I was speaking with the white, and they wouldn't allow me to destroy the order of things. That was the original goal with the playthrough, to destroy the order of things and go down the neutral path. Alas, it wasn't meant to be. At least the final dungeon and boss were suitably challenging and grand enough in scale, and the game wasn't afraid to pull any punches. None of our friends survived after all. In fact, I later found out that the baby demon spider thing on Lucifer's arm is actually Walter. You can tell because there's a scrap of his blue scarf still visible. Oof. But now I'm curious to hear from you. Have you beaten SMT IV? What did you think of the law ending? Let me know in the comments, and hey, if you liked the video, please give it a like too. Thank you for watching this video series. It took a long time to put together, but I'm glad I did it. I'll probably make another video touching on the other endings, but this is it as far as walking through the entire game goes. So once again, thank you, and I'll see you in the next one.